Hello friends, and welcome to another exciting journaling video, because today we are going to be setting up my autumn TBR, which is always so much fun because I've kind of been saving a lot of books to read specifically in autumn because I feel like it's just going to be the perfect vibe for reading those stories. So we're going to be setting up that, and then we're also going to be doing some journaling because I also need to catch up on some reading spreads. So we're going to be doing a bit of fantasy reading update too. So yeah, let me know what you're doing whilst watching, and maybe grab your journal and join me in some journaling. So without further ado, let's get started. I've been really looking forward to setting up my autumn TBR because there's just so many books that I'm really excited to read. Some of them have been on my TBR for like the whole year. Like I put them on my 25 books for 2025, but then I was kind of saving them for the autumn time because they are sort of spooky vibes, and some of them have been newly added and some of them I added throughout the year and then I was saving them. So I will talk you through all the books that I plan on reading, and I'm sure I will also end up reading even more because there are some new releases coming out that I know that I'm also likely going to read throughout October time. So the idea is that these books will take me through September and October, but I might also add even more to it. And I don't always stick to it like exactly. In my spring TBR, I added some books and then I didn't really like them, so I didn't end up finishing the series. So yeah, I don't have to stick to it, but it's just good for me to have a little bit of a plan. So for the decoration, I use this big window sticker from Journal Say, and pretty much all of the stickers that I'm using are also from Journal Say, so I will link them below. And I also have an affiliate discount code if you want to use it that I will put on screen. So the first book that I plan on reading, which is maybe the one I'm the most excited about, is Nightshade. And it's essentially set in Scotland in autumn, so it's going to be super cozy. I think it's set in a university, so it's like dark academia vibes. It's a romance, and I think there's also like a murder, so there's a bit of a mystery going on throughout it. And I've literally heard nothing but good things. And I do have the physical copy of this one because the Works brought out a special edition. So when my boyfriend went into town, I made him come home with it because I was like, I need that copy. So yeah, I'm excited to be reading the physical version too. Another book is The Ascended, and this is a new book by one of my favourite authors, and they also wrote the series Riftborn and Dustbound, and there's one more book in that series. It's a fantasy with a romance as well, and those were some of the best fantasy books that I've read this year, and I absolutely loved the world that they were set in. So this book is a new series from them, but it's kind of set in the same universe, so I was really excited. And something that I find so interesting is all of their books are written by two female authors. So I was listening to a podcast to see how they kind of figured that out, and it was really interesting to see how they both get both their ideas down and write the book together. Another book on the list is Apprentice to the Villain, and that has also been on my TBR from the start of the year, and I think it's a pretty short book, so I decided to add it on, and if I do enjoy it, then I will obviously continue the series, but I thought that was a good one to squeeze in there. And then I'm also going to read Phantasma, which I think is like a gothic romance, romantasy situation, so I'm also going to whack that in, and if I do enjoy that, then I will also read the second book in that series too. One that I was kind of like a rogue one is the romance Fall I Want, and I did literally buy this just because the cover was so cute, and I was like, an autumn romance, I'm sure it can't be that bad, so we're just going to see about that one. But I do have the physical copy coming because, as I said, it was a random purchase, and it was just because the cover art was so cute. And then the last one is a new release, which is Mate by Ali Hazelwood. And I wasn't like a huge fan of Bride. I did enjoy it, but I do love Ali Hazelwood and I will read pretty much anything that she writes. So I want to be able to enjoy that book as it's being released and everybody else is reading it. And as well, it's coming out in October, so it's perfect. Werewolves, spooky vibes, all that fun stuff. The other book that I was mentioning that I was likely going to read in October because there's a new release coming out is the next book in the DC Stars series, which is an ice hockey romance by Chelsea Curto. And I am obsessed with those books. So I'm really excited for that one. And yeah, I will be reading that pretty much as soon as it comes out. But I just didn't add that one onto this spread. But yeah, I will most likely be reading that depending on where I've got up to in all my other books at that point. Once I'd stuck all the books down, I then just grabbed all these little autumn elements and tried to just scatter them around all the different blank areas. I really enjoy creating these TBR spreads based around the seasons, and because I don't do one like at the start of every single month, I feel like it's too much pressure to decide what books I'm going to read each month. So I just find it a lot easier to do a little bunch of books throughout a season, and then that way I can also match the books because I really enjoy just doing everything to do with the season, and that even includes the stories that I'm kind of being a part of every single day because I read for at least an hour every day before I go to bed. So these books are going to be a very big part of whatever season I am in. I'm really intrigued to see what books are on your autumn TBR. You'll have to let me know if you're planning on reading any of these, if you've read them, or if you think there's any books that I should also read in autumn, because I love getting recommendations from people, and when you can see what I'm reading and what I have read, then I feel like you have a slightly good idea about what kind of books I enjoy and what sort of stories I like to read. I decided as well to add some gold letters to just write out autumn TBR because I basically did the same thing in my spring TBR. The only thing is I didn't do it exactly like lined up properly, but it's fine, I'm not too fussed. And these gold letters are also from Journal Say, but you probably know that because you're probably used to seeing me use them all the time. I'm trying to decide like when is the time that I can start reading these because I'm so excited to read Nightshade and I just really want to jump straight into it. I think I've got one more book that I'm currently reading, which is the last one that's out in the ice hockey series I was talking about. So maybe after I finish that, I might then go onto my autumn TBR, even though it's still technically summer. But I decided that, the start of September would kind of be the time when I would be able to read these books. I'm also adding lots of gold sparkles just to make it all very whimsical and magical, seeing as so many of these books are fantasies and are going to have a whole ton of magic in them. This is the finished spread and I am so happy with it. I feel like it's so cute and it's just making me really excited to want to read all these, which is kind of the plan. So yeah, I'm really happy with this one, and I'll have to start thinking soon about what's going to go on my winter TBR. Now we're going to jump into a little reading journal update because I recently read a fantasy which was one of the best fantasies that I've read this year, and it was Direbound by Sable Sorensen, I think. And this was recommended to me from my pen pal Nikita, so thank you. And she basically said to me, it's kind of like Fourth Wing. And I was like, okay, I'll read it. And I had seen a lot of people reading this recently because it is indie published, but it has just been picked up traditionally, which is great. But that also means that the second book in the series has been pushed back, but it's not too far ahead. So, I'm not going to have to wait like a really long time. And it's worth it because the story is so good. But it is similar to Fourth Wing in a way, in the fact that they're kind of training to be something, in the army and what have you, and they have to bond with a wolf, but it's not, they don't talk to you as much as like Ten and Violet do. So there is that sort of telepathy, but it doesn't happen until quite later in the book. But there are two love interests as well. So it was really interesting to navigate that. There was a bit of a plot twist as well, a quarter of the way in, which I did not see coming. So that made the story a whole lot interesting. And I feel like I can't really say anything else, but essentially she's joining the army so that she can get to the front where her sister is supposed to be because she gets taken. And then, so the whole book, she's obviously trying to find her sister whilst also trying to survive the bonding trials. There's lots of characters that you meet, there's found family, and it was just such a good book. This was one of those books where I was staying up till 2 a.m. to find out what happened because they kept hinting at things. And I was like, there's so many different parts of the story where I was like, something suspicious is going on here. And I have no idea what it is, and I need to know what it is. So I really whizzed through this book, and it was just a really great, fun time. And I'm so happy that I read it because it did give me like Fourth Wing vibes, but not in like a comparison way because I don't like to compare books. But if you enjoyed being in that sort of place, like the school vibe, but also with lots of banter and a bit of romance. Well, there actually is quite a lot of romance, but I can't really delve into that too much because lots of spoilers there. But yeah, it is quite spicy, and it was just such a great book to read. So yeah, I would recommend, if you enjoyed Fourth Wing, then you would enjoy this because that is kind of the way that Nikita got me to read this. But yeah, I really, really love this. One of my favorite fantasies this year. I would put it like the same level as Riftborn and Dustbound that I was talking about earlier, which I also loved. So for the spread, I tried to match it to the book cover. I went for like a gothic red vibe. This lace tape is absolutely gorgeous, and I totally forgot that I had it, but it literally works so perfectly at the top of this spread. So I'm so glad that I found it. The red rose stickers, the window stickers, the lace tape, literally everything here is from Journal Say. So as I said, I will link them down below. But it's been really nice to do a lot more fantasy spreads and gothic ones. And obviously it's the perfect time because it's autumn time. So I am just a fantasy girly and I can't help it. And I just love reading fantasy. I love creating my little fantasy spreads. And if you are new here, this isn't technically my reading journal because I don't have a reading journal. I just have a journal that has everything in it. So I don't do like a monthly book reset, but as I said, I will do a TBR for the season, and then I always do all of my book spreads as well, which I just really enjoy doing. So a lot of my journal is taken up with book spreads because I read a whole ton, but it is just really fun to do. So if you do enjoy that sort of stuff, then you should definitely consider subscribing so you don't miss any future reading journal updates. And then you'll be able to see all the books that I've been reading and hear me chat rubbish about them, which, who doesn't want to hear that? So if you have enjoyed this, then thank you so much. Let me know what books you're reading this autumn, what I should be reading this autumn. And if you've also read Diabound, what were your thoughts? Or maybe if you're going to try and give it a go. But I really love this spread, and I'm so happy when a spread looks as good as how I feel about a book. It just kind of makes the whole thing a lot more fun. So yeah, thank you for joining me today. I hope you're having a very nice, cozy autumn so far, and hopefully I will see you guys in the next video. So thanks so much for watching.